Hello and welcome back to Bristol City Football Club, currently sitting, would you believe, top of the Sky Bet Championship table. Yep, we didn't actually win the match, but I think we had a fairly impressive game against Millwall. We're now on 17 unbeaten games, which is quite an achievement for my first time as a football manager. Okay, now although that match did put us, because Fulham actually lost their match, so they lost more than we won, to be fair. But we even though that match put us at the top, it's still no time for us to rest on our laurels. We have just 4 days before our next match against Blackburn Rovers. Now, by all accounts, they've had quite a poor run of form recently. Looking at this, it says 8 league games without a win. They are only in 12th place in the Championship, so that's a fairly nice middle table position. But even so, the pundits, and to be honest, I'm going to agree with them too. This is a match that is ours to lose, I think is the phrase, isn't it? This should be in the bag for Bristol City Football Club. I don't show these screens that often because, well, I don't often know how to interpret them. But just to give you a flavour of some of the stuff that we're seeing here in Football Manager 2020, I give a lot of responsibility to all my assistants because, as I said before, and you may have gathered through watching some of these videos, I don't actually know a great deal about football. I mean, the phrase I tend to use is I know absolutely nothing about the game of football, although I do really love the game of Football Manager. So yeah, I'll get all this information coming in from my assistants, and in this particular news flash they're telling me of our latest youth intake, and there's a couple of green lines there but some very uninspiring yellow-orange colour lines, which basically says that our latest youth intake isn't terribly good at the old attacking stuff, which might be a bit of a worry, but hopefully that won't really sort of hold us back too much for the next few years. Our current under-18s and under-23 teams are really good in that area. We have got a few stars in the making, I think, in those teams. I haven't shown them off to you, to be fair, so you'll have to take my word for it. But I'm feeling reasonably happy, although this particular new year may not have all the talents we need, we have got enough going forward, and with the success that we're having in this season, hopefully we can bring other talent in as well if we do have gaps still to fill in the upcoming seasons. But yep, that's it. Lots of news coming in, and I'm going to ignore that and leave my assistants to take care of it all because, as I said, I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. Now, this was good news. We talked about him last week in relation to Adam Nagy, who's again coming back from injury. Hanno Masengo, one of our youngest senior squad players, 18 years old here, defensive midfielder. He's coming back from recovery as well, so he should be back on the pitch playing real matches quite soon, which is very handy for us because the next few weeks we have got a very busy schedule. I'm not going to show it to you because I haven't taken a screenshot of it, but trust me, we have. And if you know football, you'll know that this run up, we're now at the 13th of December, is quite a challenge to players. The pitches aren't great, the weather conditions aren't great, and there's quite a glut of matches you have to get through over the next month or so. So good news that Hanno is coming back, and really we're getting back to a really full squad, I think, which we're going to need in all likelihood over the next few matches. And talking of upcoming matches, we're here. Not a lot of other news has come in since the Millwall match. So here we are at match day. We're sticking with our 4-4-2, of course. I mean, it's been successful, so why would I want to change it? We're going to continue with the attacking formation. Not a great many changes to the team here, but I thought, seeing as Blackburn shouldn't be too tough of an opposition, we're going to put some players in who've only recently come back from training or are new to the squad. So in particular I'm talking about Callum Adauda, who will be taking over from Nicholas Eliasson, who we've seen a lot of in recent games, so give him a little bit of a rest. Likewise Tommy Rowe, who's been very productive for us, very important to us in recent matches. We're going to give him a bit of a rest. As I said, we've got a very important match coming up after this, which we'll discuss. Well, we won't discuss it, we'll mention it at the end of this video. So our first start for our new senior team member, Vincent Harper at left back. He's only 17, 18 years old. I really should have checked that out. A youngster, just come up from the under-23s. And he's been quite impressive so far. So I think it's time to let him sort of stretch out and see if he can take the drama of a full 90-minute match. The only other thing I'm going to say here, we've got Zach Viner in for Callas in centre-back, and I keep trying to call him David, his name is Daniel, and Dan Bentley is taking on the keeper role for today's match. So let's see how it pans out. Bristol City at home to Blackburn Rovers. Wow, that was impressive. I liked that a lot. And no, there is no arguing with that sort of scoreline. 4-1. And to be fair, I think we should probably have scored more, but there are a few chances we fluffed there. And one thing to note is I think that's the most offside goals I've seen in any match so far this season. I think, was it 3 offsides called? 2 for us and I think 1 for them. Rather annoying, to be honest. So yeah, our goal tally could have been 6 at least if they hadn't pulled that offside trick that some teams do. Though to be fair, I think we did deploy it once at least anyway ourselves. But at the end of the day, that is a win, and a pretty decisive one at that. One of the things, I go back to this every now and then, and we saw that, I think, particularly towards the end of the second half, is our possession really wasn't what it should be. What are the percentages here? 51% rather, possession for Bristol City. That's more than they had, but we didn't really have full control of the pitch throughout that match. We let them get away with it too much. Thankfully, they didn't actually capitalise on any scoring opportunities they had, so we got away with that, and they only had that one late goal to sort of some sort of compensation for the drubbing that we'd been giving them previously through that match. Likewise, our tackling, their percentage of successful tackles is better than ours, which is disappointing. I'm not saying that ours were bad. I mean, we had 76% of tackles were successful, which is quite a good result, I suppose. But really, I'd like to have the better percentage in all of those sliders if I can. And as you can see there, the team formation on our side, a little bit wonky. Unfortunately, we did suffer rather late in the game, thankfully, sending off of Marcus Henriksen for what is described, as you'll see later, a very unpleasant foul. And as these action pitch heat map things kind of sort of emphasise the difference here, I think, between this match and some of our previous matches, is we had a fair run of the pitch, but there was no real ownership of it on our part. And the percentages in the action zones there on the right hand side, we just weren't in control enough of the match. It's just lucky that up front we've got an increasingly capable strike force in the form of Andreas Weimann and Benik Afobe. Although, of course, it wasn't them that scored the goals. I mean, Afobe did score that rather nice close range shot, but the real dramatic goals came from unexpected sources. In particular, Zach Weiner, and in particular on his very first match start, Vincent Harper. A left back scoring a goal of that quality. The boy did good. What more can I say? That was a very impressive. I call it a debut, though he did actually play as a substitute in an earlier match. But that was his first full match, and I think he acquitted himself very well indeed. And as this report from Goal magazine, is it? I've no idea, I don't read these things. But from these journalists, anyway, this is a representative sample of what the Sporto Journo types are saying. A very classy performance from many members of our team, although we didn't have the full run of the pitch that I would like to have seen us achieve. Casey Palmer in particular, player of the match, really made a difference there and assisted, I think, as it says here, in 3 of the goals that we scored out of those 4, and of course Vincent Harper scoring a quite magnificent goal. Do you know what? Sometimes I'm starting to think that Adam Slade, manager of Bristol City Football Club, is something of a Terminator. Is this the 3rd or the 4th manager so far who's been given the boot following defeat to the mighty Robins? I mean, it's sad, and I really feel for these guys, but football is a brutal game. Results count, and thankfully, at the moment at least, they're running in my favour. And as usual, a sort of final look at the social media stream that's been coming in after that, I'm going to call it impressive, decisive, definitive win against Blackburn Rovers. Apart from the one dissenting voice, there always has to be one, doesn't there, in social media. Everyone seems to be quite happy with the team, the way they played, and in particular, Casey Palmer. Nice job, boys. And so that's it for this week. I'm going to leave you with another chance to enjoy those 4 goals, in particular the spectacular strikes from Marley Watkins and Vincent Harper, just to sort of, well, just to relish the delights of quality football coming out of Bristol today. And just to encourage you as well to join us next week. Well, in fact, it's less than a week away. We have 3 days away from our next match, and this is going to be something to watch, I hope. It's our quarter-final appearance in the Carabao Cup against Premiership opposition. The first time we've played a team above us in the football hierarchy. Aston Villa coming to Ashton Gate to face the mighty Robins. Who will come out victorious? Who will be progressing through to the semi-final of the Carabao? Interesting thing to note, we are the only team outside the Premiership left in that competition. Can we go all the way to the final? Well, there's only one way you're going to find out, isn't there, really? And that's to stay tuned to Ajaxpost Plays. Yep. Stay subscribed to the channel, keep your notifications on, and then you'll know as soon as I upload the next edition of this Football Manager series, this first season with Bristol City Football Club. But for now, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed this match. If you have, it'd be great to hear from you. A bit of a like, of course. If you've got any thoughts, any comments, any help that you can give me in running a good and successful football team. I mean, I have a nasty suspicion that this is more luck than judgment so far. So if you've got any good strategies, any good advice, I will be more than happy to receive your suggestions and recommendations. But anyway, once again, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon. But until then, bye-bye for now.